January 12th, 1809, and I was born in Kentucky. My parents were Thomas and Nancy, and I was their second child. I had one brother and one sister. As a young boy, I was very strong and athletic. I also loved to read and walked many miles to school. As I got older, I taught myself how to become a lawyer. I married Mary Todd and we had 4 children. Now let me tell you how I became famous. I ran for president and was elected the 16th president of the United States. I was president during the Civil War. And I did not approve of slavery and set the slaves free. Did you know my face is on the penny and the $5 bill? A memorial is built to honor me in Washington, D.C. I was assassinated on April 15th, 1865, and I am most remembered for freeing the slaves.
Hello, my name is Coco Chanel, but my real name is Gabriella Bueno Chanel. I was born in Summer, France on August 19, 1883. My mother, Jenna, was unmarried and my father was named Albert. Then my mother died from bronchitis when I was 12 years old, and my father sent me to an orphanage where I learned to sew. I left the orphanage at age 18. I started to work as a seamstress and also sang at a cafe to people who came to watch me sing. Nicknamed me Coco. Then I moved to a town called Deauville where I met a man called Etienne. Let me tell you why I became famous. I invented the little black dress, which seemed at first glance not very ladylike. Some women loved the dress, and the dress made them feel free. Many people still wear this dress. I also am famous for my jacket, perfume, and the handbag. I died on January 10th, 1971, and I am most remembered for designing the little black dress.
Hello, my name is Rosa Parks. I was born on February 4th, 1913 at Tuckasee, Alabama. My parents' names are Leo and James Macaulay. I had a younger brother named Sylvester. My parents separated when I was young. My mother, brother, and I lived on my grandparents' farm. I went to an all-African-American school, and my mother was a teacher. Growing up, I had to live with my racism. My mother wanted me to get my high school education, but my mother became very ill, so I had to leave school to take care of her. Years later, I met Raymond Parks. We married in 1932. I was able to work part-time jobs and went back to school and earned my diploma. I had several jobs such as a seamstress, and I worked as a secretary. Did you know I wrote my own story called Rosa Parks? I was a symbol for many African Americans. I became famous because of a long day at work. I got on the bus and sat in a seat. All the seats were filling up fast. A white man boarded the bus. There was no seats for him. The bus driver told me to stand to give the white man my seat. I refused, and because I did, the laws finally changed. I died on October 24, 2005. I will always be remembered for my equal rights.
Hello, my name is Will Gates. I was born on October 28, 1955 in Seattle, Washington. I was the third William Henry Gates in my family. My family called me Trey. My dad was a lawyer and my mom was a teacher. I have 2 sisters named Krista and Libby. As a child, I rocked in my rocking horse to think. I loved to read and I read all the encyclopedias. I also loved to win and I was very competitive at sports. In 7th grade, I fell in love with computers. My friends and I became experts and we taught the teachers. Did you know when I was 13, I wrote my first program to play tic-tac-toe? As a young adult, I went to Harvard University. I created the first programming language for a Microsoft microcomputer. When I was only 19, my partner Paul and I started Microsoft in 1980. Microsoft signed a major contract with IBM. Did you know I also created Windows in 1985? It was the first time a mouse was used for a PC, and 75 million computers used this. By the time I was 31, I was the youngest self-made billionaire. I am making the world better because I am dedicated to improving education in the United States. I am a philanthropist, and together with my wife, Melinda, we started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We decided to give 5% of our money away. We also donate money to 4 countries for vaccines. I am still living, and Time magazine has named me the most influential person of the 20th century.
Hello, my name is George Steenburgen, and I was born on November 24th, 1845 in Birmingham, England. During my childhood, I also attended the Birmingham Art School, and then I was granted a national scholarship to the South Kentucky Art School. When I grew up, I was employed by the British Royal Mint of England. Later, I was hired on February 28, 1878, as an assistant engraver at the Philadelphia Mint. There I was employed chief engraver. I was remembered for engraving of the Morgan dollar. It was reported to be the coin flip at the most famous gunfight in the history of America. The gunfight was at the OK Corral, which took place on October 26, 1881, in Tombstone, Arizona. I died on January 4, 1925, and I'll always be remembered for engraving of the Morgan dollar.
Hello, my name is Florence Nightingale. I was born in Florence, Italy on May 12, 1820. When I was a girl, I had a wealthy British family. When I was 16, I thought I heard the voice of God telling me I had a special mission in life. At age 24, I knew what God had told me to do: help sick people. When I told my parents I wanted to be a nurse, they said no. I entered nursing school anyway in Germany in 1844. After nursing school, I came home to London and worked in a hospital. My goal was to improve hygiene and reduce the spread of diseases. Did you know I was named chief field nurse during the Crimean War? During this war, myself and other nurses improved coordinates at the base hospital, results disease by 2.3. In 1860, I created St. Thomas's Hospital and the Nightingale Training School. I was called the Lady with the Lamp because I would work all night to make sure the soldiers had what they needed. I died on August 13, 1910. I will be remembered for being the founder of modern nursing and experience for the Red Cross.
Hello, my name is Roberto Clemente. I was born on August 18, 1934 in Carolina, Puerto Rico. I lived with my parents and 5 siblings. I was the youngest and my nickname was Moment. Growing up, I just loved baseball. I played baseball every day. I ran super fast and I threw the ball very hard. I hit a lot of line drives. I dreamed of going to the big leagues someday. Well, my dream came true. I played with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I became famous because I led the National League 4 times in batting, and I was the first Hispanic player to hit 3,000 hits. Did you know I won the Golden Glove Award 12 times? I played in 2 World Series, and I was the first Spanish person added to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I made the world a better place by helping other people. I died on December 31st, 1972 in a plane crash. The plane was trying to deliver supplies to earthquake victims, and I was going to help them. I am most remembered for being amazing at baseball, and my fans just loved me.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706 in Boston, Massachusetts. I was the 10th child out of 17 and the last son born to my parents. When I was 10 years old, I began to help in my father's candle shop. My father thought that I would be a special person like a preacher or something else like an apostle. I loved learning an arithmetic. I was great in school. Later, I became an apprentice. At age 22, I owned my own print shop in Philadelphia. I wrote about comets and hurricanes. I suggest ways to light the streets at night. I became famous by doing an experiment that involved lightning. I put a key on a kite and waited until I got shocked. The experiment proved that electricity and lightning were the same. After that, I made more stuff like eyeglasses called bifocals. They helped people who need 2 types of lenses. The top of the lens was for seeing far away and the bottom was for seeing close. Did you know I also invented an iron stove which produced produced mold heat in an ordinary fireplace. I called it the Franklin stove. Another item I invented was a ladder with wheels. I made this for people who were getting books on high shelves. I died on April 17, 1790, and I am remembered for inventing electricity.
Hello, my name is Rosa Parks, but my full name is Rosa Louise McCoy. I was born on February 4th, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. My mom was a teacher and my dad was a carpenter. I had one brother. I went to school where my mom taught. I never finished high school because my mom got sick. I went to school for black children, and there were no buses for me to take. White children would throw trash out the window from their bus and laugh. I got married to Raymond Parks. He was a barber. After I got married, I went back to school for my high school diploma. In my older life, I didn't like the way black people were treated. Black people had to use different elevators and water fountains. In 1943, I joined the NAACP to work for the civil rights of African Americans. Civil rights are for all people to enjoy life, freedom, and have equal rights. This is how I became famous. On December 1st, 1955, I would not give up my seat to a white man. I was arrested. My arrest made many black people angry. They refused to ride the buses. Many African Americans came together to fight for their rights. I made the world better by working hard to change the segregation of African Americans and white people. I won many medals for my bravery and leadership. I'm a symbol to many African Americans of the fight for equal rights. I died on October 24th, 2005, and I am most remembered for being a symbol of freedom.
Hello, my name is Helen Keller. I was born on June 27, 1880 in Tuskegee, Alabama. My mother and father were Mr. and Mrs. Keller. I had one sister and 3 brothers. As a little girl, I loved to do pranks. The first word I tried to learn was doll. The first word that I actually learned was water. When I tried to learn the word mug, I got so frustrated that I broke the mug. Some important things that I did to become famous were that I was inducted into the Alabama Women's Hall of Fame in 1971. I was the first blind and deaf person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. I also wrote 12 books. Do you know I learned to speak and gave many speeches? I met every president from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon Johnson. I was also friends with many famous people like Alexander Graham Bell, Charlie Chaplin, and Mark Twain. I have made the world a better place by having braille signs in public places. I fought for women's rights, and I was an advocate for people with disabilities. I died on June 1st, 1968, and I am most remembered for helping other blind people.
Hello, my name is Amelia. I was born on July 24th, 1847. In Acton, Kansas, my life was happy, and my nickname was Millie. I was known as a tomboy and dressed in trousers instead of dresses. I liked making things with a hammer and nails. I once made a dog carriage into a stagecoach. When I was 7, I built my own roller coaster in the backyard. My grandmother died in 1919 and left money for my education. I became a nurse and worked from a nurse from 1917 to the end of the World War I. Nursing completely exhausted me. I decided to become a doctor. I entered Columbia University to study geometry and biology, but I really had no clear idea about what to do with my life. So I moved to California with my parents, and I went to my first air show. And I took my first flight with pilot Frank Hontz. From then on, I knew I had to fly. I got a job to pay for flying lessons and took lessons from Auntie Nita Snook. In 1922, I made my first solo flight. I broke the high record for women's flying. I became famous because I was the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. I wanted people to understand that flying was a safe form of travel. In 1937, I decided to attempt to fly around the world. I left Miami with Fred Noonan and was never seen again. I will always bear my wish for my love of flying.
Hello, my name is Sidney Boyd. I was born in 1831 in the Grand River. My real name is Hunkisi, which means slow. I belong to the Hunkpapa people, who are one of the 7 clans of the Lakota people. My homelands are the Great Plains of the North and South Dakotas, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Montana. I learned to be generous and to share. I also learned to honor everything sacred. I learned to fight and become a warrior. Lakota warriors are honored by being the first person to touch an enemy. This was called counting coup. Coup is the French word for strike or below. I was 14 when I joined my first war party. We charged the Crow warriors, and I was the first person to knock an enemy off his horse. I had counted coup, and I was celebrated with a victory feast. My father gave me a new name. I was now called Sitting Bull, which means someone powerful and stubborn, like a huge buffalo bull that couldn't be moved. As I got older, I became known for my bravery and not giving up my rights to live freely. Settlers arrived and pushed my people out of their lands. I urged my people to push back in 1868. The U.S. offered my people a Laramie Treaty, which I did not sign. I surrendered to the U.S., then was released to the reservation. Did you know I toured with Buffalo Bill and did the Wild West show? After that, I returned and remained with my people. The ghost dance religion was started in these words of U.S. agents. I am famous because I was a brave leader to my people and fought for the rights. Treaties were of my people. Treaties were made due to my confrontations, and reservations were given to the Native Americans. I lived my life with compromise and with honor. I died on December 15, 1890. When I surrendered, I said, I wish to be remembered that I was the last man of my tribe to surrender my rifle.
Hello, my name is Amelia Earhart, and I was born in Atchison, Kansas. As a young girl, my sisters and I loved sports, and we collected insects and frogs. My family loved to travel. When I was born, airplanes weren't as common as they are now. Did you know I saw my first air show when I was 12 years old? I enjoyed watching airplane shows as a hobby. When I got older, I studied to be a doctor and then a mechanic. I really did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I took my first flight when I was 23 years old, and I said I knew I had to fly. I worked hard to make money for flying lessons. I made many books about flying, and I wanted to fly around the world. I became famous because I was the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. I wrote speeches and talked about flying and women's rights. Did you know I set many world records for women pilots? I inspired many women to try new things and take risks. Why, I even met with President Roosevelt in Coolidge. I died in 1937 trying to fly across the world. No one knows what ever happened to my plane. I will always be remembered for being the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean.
Hello, my name is Neil Armstrong. I was born on August 5th, 1930 in Wapakoneta, Ohio. I had a love for flying at a very young age. I went on my first plane ride when I was 5, and I took flying lessons when I was 14. Did you know I earned my flight certificate and had my first solo flight before I had my driver's license? As a young man, I became a Navy pilot and served in the Korean War. I then became a research test pilot, where I helped design and test over 200 new military planes. Then, in 1962, I was selected to become a NASA astronaut. I became famous because I was selected to be the commander for the Apollo 11 space mission. On July 21st, 1969, I was the first person to walk on the moon. Did you know over 450 million TV and radio listeners tuned in to follow landing? They heard me say that's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. I made the world better because during my lifetime, the thought of putting a man on the moon was considered impossible. When our mission succeeded and I did walk on the moon, it made anything possible. The success of the Apollo 11 inspired scientists and explorers to do amazing things that were previously considered impossible. I died on August 25th, 2012, and will always be known for being the first man to walk on the moon.
Hello, my name is Walt Disney. I was born on December 5th, 1901 in Chicago, Illinois. My parents were Eli and Sproul. My father was Irish Canadian, my mother was German English. I had 3 brothers and 1 sister. Do you know I started drawing at age of 4? My first job was delivering newspapers and selling my drawings and paintings. Let me tell you how I became famous. I created Mickey Mouse and used my own voice for the cartoon. I made the first cartoon movie Snow White in 1937. In 1955, I still made the first TV show. Josh Cook is called Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Did you know I also created Disneyland for my workers and their show in 1955? I made the world better by making Disney show, Disney movies, and Disney where I gave time, money to the California Institute of Arts and other schools like me. I died on December 15th, 1966, and I'm most remembered for drawing a Mickey Mouse.
Hello, my name is Helen Keller. I was born on June 27th, 1880. I got sick and the illness left me blind and deaf. I couldn't talk at all. I was like a wild child. Most of the time, no one knew I wanted. Sometimes I took food from other people's plates and bowls. One day, I had a teacher named Annie Sullivan. Annie helped me with sign language. My father, Arthur Keller, let me stay with Annie for 2 weeks in the little house by our home. And Annie, I learned my first word, which was water, and Annie taught me how to read Braille. I went to a women's college called Radcliffe. I wrote an article about my life in a famous magazine for a woman. The article was published into a book in 1903. The book was called The Story of My Life. I made the world a little better by raising money for the blind and tried to improve their living conditions. I died on June 1st, 1968, and will be remembered for helping people who are blind.
Hello, my name is Susan B. Anthony. I was born on February 15, 1820 in Addis, Massachusetts, and lived there till I was 6. Then my family moved to New York. I was the second oldest of 7 children. Some of my brothers and sisters were involved in the civil rights movement. Did you know I was a Quaker and on the $1 coin? Let me tell you how I became famous. I was a women's rights leader in the late 1800s. I helped to run a civil rights newspaper called The Revolution. I helped fight for women's right to vote. I started the National Women's Suffrage Association in 1869. When women finally got to vote, I could not, because I died on March 13, 1906. I'll always be remembered by devoting my life to women's rights and their rights to vote.
Hello, my name is Anne Frank. I was born on June 12, 1929 in Frankfurt, Germany. I'm a Jewish girl who didn't like to sit still and I liked lots of attention. I also had strong emotions. My mother, I stay-at-home mom, and dad's name was Odo Frank. He fought in World War I. I was sad because Germany lost the war. Adolf Hitler was the leader of my country during this time. My country was not doing well in 1933. Some people blamed the Jews for Germany's problems. Adolf Hitler hated the Jews and any people who weren't German. Adolf's new government was called the Nazis. The Nazis separated the Jews from the Germans. My family decided to move to the Netherlands to be safe. I had a nice life for many years, but then Hitler came to the Netherlands. Now, I can't go to public places riding in a taxi or a car. I also could not ride a bike or go to the same school, and my family and I had to wear badges that said Jews in Dutch. Hitler used concentration camps to kill many Jews. When my family heard about this, they got worried. So my parents decided we should move and hide in that attic. We moved with all our stuff on, so we did not carry a suitcase. We did this so we would not be spotted and caught. This happened on July 5th, 1942. Did you know my parents had given me a diary for my 13th birthday to keep me occupied? My father knew something like this would happen. I would need something to do for 2 years we hid in that attic. We hid in the attic and never went outside. I wrote about my feelings and what was happening to my family. My family finally did get captured by the Nazis. I died in March of 1945 at age 15 because I got sick at the concentration camp. I mostly remember from my diary I left behind in hiding. I was later found. My diary contains lots of information about the Holocaust.
Hello, my name is Abraham Lincoln. I was born on February 12, 1802 in Kentucky. I had a sister named Sarah. My family was very poor, and some people called me Abe. I helped my neighbors. Did you know by age 19, I was 6 foot and 4 inches tall. I studied a lot of law books and became a lawyer. Then I became the 16th President of the United States of America. I was president during the Civil War
and signed an important paper in 1863 that freed the slaves. I gave a great speech called the Gettysburg Address. I died on April 14, 1865, and I must remember for freeing the slaves.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Churro. I was born in 1866 in France. Many people got my name wrong by calling me Marilyn Churro. My real name is Louise Churro. I learned dressmaking in Paris in 1880. Something in my life that's important for you to know is that I was the first woman to own a fashion house in Paris. My house had 100 employees. I made fashion dresses and caps. I was famous around the world. In 1914, everybody was wearing my walking suits and afternoon dresses during World War I. I had the only fashion house that was still open. I died in 1955, and I am most remembered for my fashion dresses.
Hello, my name is Tony Hawk. I was born on May 12, 1968. I was hyperactive and super smart. My IQ was 144. I skateboarded to Elite Energy. I became a professional skateboarder by age 14. I was the National Skateboarder Association World Champion for 12 years. Did you know I was the fourth skater to land a 900? I also was the fourth person to skate on the White House grounds. I'm the most influential skateboarder of all time. I have a Tony Hawk Foundation, and I've given more than $403 million to boost skateboards around the USA. My foundation helps poor areas and poor kids. I also help create Athletes for Hope. It is a program to support the community. I'm still living and I continue to serve as a role model for kids.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706 in Boston, Massachusetts. I was the 10th child out of 17 children my parents had. I am third youngest son. My family owned a soap and candle shop. As a child, I loved to read. When I got older, I wrote articles for the newspaper. Did you know I also wrote poetry? I got married in 1730 to Deborah Reed and had 3 children. I set up my own print shop and printed Poor Rich's Almanac. This almanac contained facts about the weather, a calendar, and recipes. I retired from printing at the age of 42. I am famous because I helped set up fire and police station. I created a lending library and the first hospital. I also invented bifocal glasses and the Franklin stove. Did you know I proved that lightning was electricity by doing a kite and key experiment? I died on April 17, 1790, and I am most remembered for helping to write the Declaration of Independence.